I want to try to make this a little shorter video than the last few, and the main thing I want to introduce is how do you use some of these basic logical operators in Python and in particular in NumPy, and or not. And maybe the most confusing thing is that in general in base Python, like without NumPy, you should use the written out words and or not. And in NumPy or later in Math 10 for pandas, you should usually use this ampersand, this vertical line, which is sometimes called pipe, and this tilde symbol. So let me show you just with a single example of, here is some, oops, I added as a markdown cell. I changed it to a code cell by hitting Y. So here I have the same code from the previous video, and let me show you what this list looks like. And ARR will be the array version of it. So here it is, and let's find all the entries in my list that are strictly between -10 and 10. So I want it to be strictly bigger than -10 and strictly less than 10, so that'll be a chance to use the AND symbol. So let me do this with list comprehension again. This will be X for X in my list. If I want it to be strictly bigger than -10, so X strictly bigger than -10. And so notice how I wrote it out and it showed up in green, and X strictly less than 10. And if you want to be extra safe, you could put parentheses on the outside, but that's not important in this case. I think these parentheses that I put are important, but the outer ones are not necessary. So only 3 numbers satisfy this, -4, 6, and 2. Just for the fun of it, let me show you another way to get this, also using list comprehension. I could say, instead of saying it's supposed to be both bigger than -10 and less than 10, I could say, well, it should not be less than or equal to -10, nor should it be greater than or equal to 10. And so this will get me like the opposite list. So if I want to negate it, let me put parentheses on the outside. Oh, and here I used the vertical line, but I should have written it out as or. That's just a good habit to be in when you're working with base Python. Even if the ampersand or the vertical line works, usually you're going to want to use the written out version. And so here I'm going to put not. And now we're back to the same list as before. And I mean, there's no reason to do this other than pedagogically. It's just a chance to think about how do you negate this. And here, by negating it, we use this not operator and the or operator. Okay, so that was the Python version, the base Python version. Let's see the NumPy version. And I guess I'll do both of them also. So I can do, let's just look at what ARR looks like. And so I can say ARR strictly bigger than -10. I could say ARR strictly less than 10. And then I can say both. So ARR strictly bigger than -10. Okay, and I want it to be ARR strictly less than 10. And notice how here I used the symbol ampersand instead of writing and. Hey, before I accidentally wrote the vertical line and it worked fine. Here, if I accidentally write it out, I don't think it'll work. Okay, so really need to use the ampersand. And so you can see there are only 3 trues showing up in here. And how do I find what they are? Here I use this indexing. And there we go. That's the array version of the same list we saw up above, -4, 6, 2. And let's just see the same thing, but using this more complicated version with the or and the not. Oops. So when I change this to less than or equal, or yeah, so I want to know that it's not less than or equal to -10, and I want it to not be bigger than or equal to 10. And so maybe I'll do it differently this time. I can say not less than or equal to -10. Okay, and I want it to be not greater than or equal to 10. And let's see if this gets me the same thing. And let's go back to the other version, the one I did for the list. Okay, so I need to change this to an or. And I need one more parenthesis on the outside. And I need to get rid of this. And I can get rid of one of these sets of parentheses. So what am I saying here? I'm saying I should add one set of parentheses on the far outside. So if you look at this part, this is saying it's either less than or equal to -10 or it's greater than or equal to 10. Okay, and I don't want that, so that's why I have this tilde on the outside. And again, that gets me the same NumPy array. So that was just a quick example of using and, or, not in Python, and using ampersand, vertical line, and tilde in NumPy.